And this webinar is on the topic of the company's Fresh Start Scheme and LLP settlement scheme. As we have entered in the new financial year, wishing you all a happy and prosperous financial year. May God bless us with good health and good wealth in the coming financial year. This webinar is a very new initiative of ICSI, wherein we have taken the help of the technology, and we all four panelists are sitting at the remote locations, and this is for the very first time we are organizing this sort of webinar. My compliments to the IT team of ICSI. As this is very new initiative, we have a restriction with respect to the participants. We can only accommodate 3,000 participants in this webinar. My regret to all the participants who could not able to join this webinar. We will be recording this webinar and uploading this on the YouTube, and we'll be sharing the link to all the members across India for their benefit. And we are also exploring the possibilities in the days to come to enhance the limit of participation for the members. Friends, the entire India is under lockdown because of this coronavirus, and almost everyone is working from home. And in the recent past, various initiatives have been taken by various regulators. MCA, SEBI, RBI have given relaxations to various deadlines, and notification have also been released. In the same manner, MCA has announced various relaxations, and new schemes have been floated by MCA. And few of the relaxation includes the time gap has been in increase for the two board meetings. Now it can be held within 180 days. The CSR spending now can be done for the COVID-19 in the PM Care Fund. Another is the video conferencing is also allowed for the restricted items. And what's an initiative, which is a very brilliant initiative by MCA, must compliment the MCA entire team for this initiative. MCA has come out with two schemes. One is the LLP settlement scheme, and another is the company Fresh Start Scheme 2020, in which all the companies, public, private companies, and LLPs are allowed to file their all pending forms whatsoever financial year, whatsoever tenure. They would be able to upload all the pending documents with no additional filing fees. Yes, with no additional filing fees, and there would be no penalty prosecutions thereafter. An immunity certificate would also be issued in this regard. From the MCA side, in this webinar, we have with us Mr. Murthy, who is the Joint Secretary and looking after the policy affairs at MCA. We welcome you, sir, on this occasion. We also have with us Mr. KMS Narayanan, who is Assistant Director at MCA, looking after the policy matters. We also have with us CS Bhaskarji, who is Principal Consultant with Infosys, and providing all the help and support to MCA in the technical and practical issues with the Companies Act. We welcome you all in this webinar. Would like to request Mr. Murthy to kindly give the opening remarks and the thought process behind this scheme. Murthy sir, please.
Thank you very much, Gupta ji. Good afternoon to everyone, and on behalf of the Government of India and the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, I would like to welcome you all very warmly in this new financial year. And I would like to first of all wish you and your families a very, very safe and healthy 2020-2021, beginning with the lockdown period. It's a little unfortunate that we are going through these testing times, but I'm sure we will all rise above these kind of crises. And as a professional community, we have full faith that all of you will be observing the social distancing norms and the various precautions that have been outlined by the public health authorities for keeping you and your families safe. Now, having said that, in the ministry, in the government, there has been a lot of thought which has been given towards what kind of measures and relief measures should be extended to our corporates and the various stakeholders associated with these corporates. in during the times of COVID-19, so that the compliance burden is eased, and people are able to focus more on survival right now, and taking care of their health, and to partake of any uh, very essential kind of activities in the corporate world, and then pay attention to the compliance requirements after this lockdown period ends. The fundamental principle that we have gone by is that anything which can wait till the lockdown is over and normalcy is restored, corporates and the professionals must advise them appropriately. So corporates must wait for normalcy to return, and only such things which cannot wait in the form of a board meeting or anything, and anything which is within the powers of the board to take a call on, only those decisions should be gone ahead with. As a general principle, as a general SOP, corporates must endeavor to wait till the lockdown is over for any substantive or important or critical decisions that they may be required to take. Having said that, you all of you would be familiar with the various measures that we have announced. The Honorable Corporate Affairs Minister and the Finance Minister took the lead in announcing on the 24th of March a slew of measures covering various aspects which would be of interest to corporates and their stakeholders. And insofar as the Ministry of Corporate Affairs is concerned, two of the legislations that we deal with, there were announcements made on the 24th of March, eight of which pertain to the Companies Act, and one of which pertain to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. We were quick off the blocks, and we corporates to set right any previous prior defaults, irrespective of when the due date fell, guiding corporates and all the professionals who advise them on रहे हैं आप सब लोग इससे, जिसमें जो पुराने जो भी डिफॉल्ट्स होंगे उनको आप दुरुस्त कर सकते हैं, फाइल कर सकते हैं, and you can ensure that the filing related defaults are set right. We have also clarified in the circular therein that an immunity certificate will be issued after the completion of the scheme. You will have to separately apply for an immunity certificate, and the immunity will be granted from any filing related defaults which may have happened. There shall be no immunity for any other substantive defaults which may have been associated with those kinds of delays in filing. But insofar as the delay in filing per se is concerned, an immunity will be granted. So the general circulars number 12 is a very comprehensive one, and then general circular 13 builds upon the settlement scheme which we launched on the 16th of March to take it further ahead to extend it to all LLP forms instead of the 4 forms that we had initially brought it out. We are very conscious that the LLPs are used by many of our professional community, and a number we had been receiving a lot of representations that LLPs were unable to file their initial form 3 or 4 in the for quite some time to come, and the 100 rupee additional fee which is charged on all LLP forms is a burden which LLPs, some of the LLPs were finding it difficult to cope up with. So we thought that when we are extending this kind of a relief to companies, we should also do the same to our LLP brethren also. And we tweaked the LLP settlement scheme to now make it all encompassing for all LLP related forms, and to also extend the validity of the LLP settlement scheme right up to September 2020, instead of ending in June itself. The whole intent is that we wanted to give it a sufficient time. We wanted to instill a period of calm within the corporate community, so that they need not worry about undertaking filing related compliances during these stressful times. Instead, pay attention to your health, pay attention to your families, and do only those works which are essential. And then, as we go along, since it's a completely online system, you have the freedom of setting right your any of your previous defaults in a sufficient time, you know. So this is the fundamental principle. We want to give a never before opportunity. The LLP, the company's settlement scheme, which came out in 2010-11, also had introduced this concept of allowing exemption from additional fee on all forms. But then it was restricted to still charging 25% of the additional fee way back in 2010 also. So while a similar scheme had been launched in 2010, we were still charging 25% of the additional fee at that time. That is something that we have waived now. So there will be absolutely no additional fee during the currency of these two schemes till about September. So we would request all the professional community who is a very conscientious and a very disciplined and knowledgeable community that we are all aware of, to please advise the corporates and all their stakeholders accordingly, that this is a once in a lifetime, never before opportunity for making good any filing related defaults by companies as well as LLPs. We've got a team of experts here with us who will walk you through the various finer points of the scheme. And in the days to come, I would wish you that you take full benefit of the scheme and stay healthy, and then we come back to normalcy at the earliest. Thank you so much for taking the trouble to join this webinar in the middle of the afternoon despite the lockdown. And I'm sure you will all stand enriched by this interaction with the team that the ICSI has so graciously lined up. I would also like to thank the ICSI for all the efforts that they have made, particularly CS Mr. Gupta, for having spared this time to set up this webinar for the benefit of the entire professional community. Thank you, and I will be uh, listening to some of the clarifications being given. It may not be feasible for me to continue on the video, but I would still like to continue to be available for any further clarifications. So over to you, Mr. Gupta, and the team now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for all the compliments and the wonderful scheme, and for highlighting the intents of the government behind this particular two schemes. And you have rightly mentioned that this is a golden opportunity for all the corporates, private, public, LLPs, so to complete compliance up to date without making any having any penalty or any prosecution in the days to come. Uh, Sir, let me assure you from the institute side, from the professional fraternity of the company secretaries, we'll give you our full support, full team, our working day and night, 24/7. ICSA is there to help you out. Anytime anything is required from our side, we will be there to help you out at this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to request Bhaskar ji to kindly give us the silent features with respect to the schemes, and he may take any of the schemes, and then the other part would be taken by Narayanan sir.
Good afternoon, friends. Thank you, sir. Thanks for giving the introductory address. Thanks, Manish ji and Shankar ji. And thanks ICSI for taking this initiative, organizing the webinar despite pleasure. Clarifications you in the coming 6 months, starting from today. So, what are the precautions? What you need to know? So, scheme, I because of the 3000 Second, General Circular number 11 issued on 24th March 2020. Third, General Circular number 12 issued on 30th March. And the fourth and the final one, General Circular number 13th, wherein modification of the LLP scheme got notified on 30th March 2020. So these four circulars are important for all the members. Please read them thoroughly and understand the nuances of these two, particularly LLP settlement scheme, which got modified on 30th March 2020, and the company's fresh start scheme, which got notified on 30th March 2020. So, having said that, multiple questions are being raised on policy which is behind this scheme, CFSS and LLP settlement scheme, and also some system related questions. First, let me give you a brief objective. As JS sir had said, the brief objective of this whole scheme is to incentivize the compliance. Second, reduce the compliance burden on companies. And third, one-time waiver of additional fee for delayed filings. So these three are basic objectives of these two schemes, this and LLP settlement scheme. Okay, and before we go to the questions, as we speak, I think around 150 questions were posed by the members. 65 we have already received over email from ICSI, and I look at my screen, it shows 94 questions and answers. Please be rest assured that every question of you would be answered to your satisfaction. And before we take the questions, please understand that repeat question on whether this is applicable to disqualified directors, whether stuck off companies. So these type of questions are being asked. We will also try to answer those questions. Before that, I want to tell you that under this scheme, 76 farms got covered for waiver of additional fee. What are those 76? The farm numbers along with the nomenclature of the farm numbers, let me not read out on this webinar and waste everyone's time. We will put it up with the MCS approval on the portal. These are 76 scheme, but I can tell you elaborately over this webinar. But briefly, 10 forms of the Companies Act 1956, 12 forms of LLP, and around 54 forms of the Companies Act 2013 got covered under the waiver of additional fee through these two circulars. So that is the preamble which I wanted to set here. Before I request Manish ji to take the questions. And from policy perspective, we have KMS Narayanan, Assistant Director, Policy MCA. I request Mr. Narayanan to give a brief overview of the scheme. He is the person who was behind drafting the scheme. Over to you, Mr. Narayanan. Thank you, ICSI.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bakri. Good evening to all members. Good evening, friends. It is a good occasion that we should avail the golden opportunity as the government, central government has provided the good scheme. So in the past also, there was no total exemptions were given by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So this is the first time due to the COVID-19, the government has decided we should completely waive off the additional fees except certain documents. That is what we were focusing while framing the circular. In the last 4 or 5 days, we were framing the contents of the circulars. And sometimes we are very annoyed. We have taken utmost care while finalizing the circular. That is what the government said. No one should be angry with the circular. That is what we have carefully drafted the circular with the approval of my senior level officers, and I hope the professionals and the promoters of the companies when able to utilize this opportunity as a one-time opportunity, is a golden opportunity. The 6 months period is very crucial for us, and please try to avail all forms which have been waived by us additional fees. So I request the Manish ji to one by one the questions. What are the technical questions can be answered by us, either by Mr. Bhaskar or by myself. I can able to answer whatever the queries come from the professional concern. Over to Mr. Manish Gupta.
Yeah, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for highlighting and for giving us the overview of both the schemes and what are the benefits it would carry if one of the stakeholder is going to file all the pending forms in this particular schemes. Sir, we have already received almost 65 questions from our participants, and a few questions are there in the chat box as well. We'll try to take all the questions one by one. And the very first question is with respect to the MGT 14. If it is being beyond 300 days of delay and the condonation of delay is applicable, CG1 is required to be filed, whether that MGT 14 without condonation can be filed under this scheme. This is the very first question.
I'll answer to this question, Mr. Manish and Bhaskar ji. As far as the MGT 14 is concerned, it's for the resolutions being filed. If it is beyond 30 days, also you have to file the resolution that the system will accept. There is no condonation of delay period during the period of the scheme. So you can file MGT 14 without additional fee, and the system will accept. And as far as any CG1 is filed for with respect to the MGT 14, and you want to avail the CG1 also and MGT 10, it is not possible. So you please go with the fresh filing of MGT 14 without additional fee, and whatever, and we will issue a clarification that whatever the CG1 filed, it will be approved, and you can file INC 20 later on also. That is also possible. So nothing is stopped, prevented from filing MGT 14 without additional fee.
Okay. In that case, there would be a concern with respect to the filling of INC 28 SRN in the MGT 14 itself. Then how to go deal with this particular situation?
Yeah, Maniji, let me answer the part of the question. So there is no change in the existing process. Okay, whatever is the existing process prior to this CFSS circular, whatever has been was being followed, it will continue to exist. Okay, insofar as additional levy of additional fee is concerned, the additional fee would not get levied on MGT 14. Okay, so that is the change. Okay, that is the change. Yeah, you can go to the next question.
In that case, yes. A Limited has received an order from regional director for conversion of public limited company to private limited company in June 19. But there was a pending DPT3 due to which the conversion INC 27 could not be uploaded within the period of 15 days. So whether it would be like condonation of delay, again the same part of the question. It would be falling under the condonation or delay, or they can directly upload INC 27 now.
There is no, let me repeat, there is no change in the process. Okay, the additional fee would get waived wherever the
Only
form.
the additional fee would be waived. There is no change, no relaxation in the procedural aspect as such.
Yes.
If
Only
there is a requirement of condonation, then one has to move the condonation application first, then he can get the benefit of this scheme.
And for the sake of clarity, and I want to say something that whoever files INC 27, and please flag this issue by sending a mail to us. We can escalate as an urgent, and we can able to separate INC 27 as in a fast mode. That is fast track mode. We can able to approve, and there won't be any pending as far as the INC 27 case is concerned. So please send a mail to us, and we can able to mark the item as urgent, and we can able to approve or, if the application is found in order. Go to Mr. Manish.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. The next query is with respect to the disqualification under section 164(2). The office of the director shall become vacant in certain situation if he incurs any of the disqualification in 164. Under the present system of MCA, the way it works, the director who disqualifies cannot digitally sign the documents of the company in default. There are quite a few cases of such directors who are not directors in other companies, defaulting companies. It is so this question is not clear as such. Let's move to
I can able to understand what the grievances of the concerned.
You are also having that copy.
No, I am having the copy up to 65.
Yes.
So the thing is, once the director is disqualified, it's an operation of law. And if there are two directors of the private company, if it is disqualified, you have to add one more director in the back end. That is being allowed by the ROC also. And you please add one of the director and file the due documents without additional fee.
That is manageable under this scheme. Okay, sir. Moving to the next question. If all the directors are disqualified and company status is active, then we can make a pending annual filing under this scheme? Again, the back end procedure is required to be followed.
They have to see. We have already. So before. Then only documents will be accepted by the system.
Shankarji, cured and the jurisdiction can directors who have been deactivated, they can, due to non-filing of DR3 KYC PDF or web form, KYC or DR3 web form and director is concerned, disqualification will not get cured under this scheme. Okay, this scheme is for companies fresh start scheme. Okay.
Great, sir. The next question is with respect to the strike off company, which was initiated by the ROCs in the year 2017. However, the company's status is now active after the approval of NCLT, but the filing of pending documents is still there. Whether that particular company which was striked off, now active, having the active status, can take the benefit of this scheme.
Yes, yes. If it is
They can
active,
take the benefit.
yes, if it is active, the current state of the company is active, because from stuck off it got revived by NCLT by following whatever the due process under the law. If it got revived, and it can file, because now it is under active status, it can file and it can take the benefit of CFSS.
The company must be in status of active. It should not be active non-compliant. So if any one of the company has not filed DR KYC or web form or active form, and they have to file these two forms, then only they can go for filing.
Right.
Yeah, over to Manish ji.
Manish ji, for the sake of brevity, let me reiterate. Shankar ji had given a very good thought. If any company is non-compliant due to non-filing of active form, those companies, let us say, the directors have been deactivated because the company is non-compliant in filing the active form. Those deactivated DIN holders can activate their DINs during the moratorium period of 6 months, that is effective from 1st April to 30th September, and then they can file the active form, and then they can file all the relevant forms. Okay, so this is the correct process. Okay.
I got your point, sir. The certain process is required to be followed. One has to file the DIN activation form. DR 3 KYC, 3 KYC web are required to be in order. Then the active compliant and whatsoever documents are required to be filed. Before filing of the active compliant, all those documents should also be filed. And then the company would be having the status of active.
Exactly.
Right, sir?
Only caution is it will not cure disqualification of a director.
Yeah, got your point, sir. Next is with respect to the LLP scheme, which was notified on earlier notified and applicable from 15th of March. And this query is with respect to a stakeholder who has already filed various documents with the additional fees of up to 5,000 rupees, and the immunity certificate might be issued to him. Now he is looking for the refund of that fund. Now that particular amount is also waived off by the government. They are now looking for the refund of the amount they have already paid.
Yeah, exactly. As the member himself or herself knows, it is not applicable from a retrospective date. It is effective from 1st April to 30th September 2020.
Right.
No, I will intervene.
Fresh start, fresh financial.
I have to say something. As far as the LLP is concerned, it is not the 30th September. The due date of the documents must be ended 31st August, not 30th September. Yes, so those who are filing the due documents, as far as the LLP is concerned, please ensure that if the due date of the documents is falling on or before 31st August 2020.
Yeah, Manish ji, it's a good point which Narayan brought out. The difference between these two schemes is, in respect of CFSS, the period is 1st April to 30th September, whereas in LLP settlement scheme, now modified by the General Circular number 13, it is till 31st August, and after 31st August, within 30 days, they can file the related documents. So that is the difference between these two. Yeah.
Great, sir. Most of the questions are with respect to the striking off of the name with the company which has recently revived. I think the scheme is available to them. My question is with respect to the companies which are stuck off and when they revived, and however they have failed to file their returns on time. Again, the same thing.
Manish, can you please tell us the question number?
Sir, I am on 12th, question number 12th.
Okay.
While the government initiative to help the companies by introducing this scheme is really to be appreciated, I request the ministry is also remove all disqualification of director due to non-filing of an annual financial statement, annual returns for 3 consecutive years, thereby allow various companies which are affected by the disqualification of their directors to come clean. This is more of a suggestion rather than a query from a member.
We may request Shankarji to respond to this question if he has any.
As far as the scheme is concerned, it does not cover disqualification of director. Disqualification of directors is nothing but it's an operational law. When the operation law has to be implemented, and the directors have to vacate their seat as per section 167 of the Act. So the disqualification has nothing to do with this scheme. So please ensure that the directors are disqualified. You please insert one more director in your company and file all the due documents as we have stated earlier. Please go ahead, Mr. Mati.
Sir. Sir, another question is, can a fund company which is currently having a status of strike off, can still file returns under this scheme?
No. Answer is no.
They cannot
have to get the revived from NCLT, and having the active status can only fall under the scheme and take benefits of this.
Yes. They have to get themselves revived and then take the benefit of this scheme.
To 2006, but no form that time form.
Pass 3 without any additional fee. I think they are referring only to non-filing of return. If that is the case, and if the company is still active, they can file pass 3 without any additional fee.
Was not not asking for any of those details.
Exactly.
So you have to comply with today's pass 3 while filing.
Yes. Insofar as system is concerned, system will exempt additional fee only.
Or additional fee. All the requirements are required to be complied with. Any number of years form can be filed in this scheme without any payment of additional fees.
Yes, the answer is yes.
The form pertains to any year, any financial year, or any number of forms can be filed. There is no restriction to upper limit, I think, for the forms.
Yeah, Manishji, let me reiterate. That is what I said in my initial remarks. It covers Companies Act 1956, 10 forms, and Companies Act 13, 54 forms, and LLP forms 12. Okay, totally 76 forms have additional fee waiver through this CFSS and modified LLP settlement scheme.
Great, sir. And you would be hosting this particular list of 76 forms in the days to come on the website.
Absolutely. In the days to come, evening, we will take approval from MCA officers and we will host it on the portal. Okay.
That would be a great help, sir. That would be a great help, because many of the questions are related to the forms only, whether this particular form would be covered under the scheme or not.
Yes.
So it would be a great help. So we would not be taking up all those questions which are particularly pertaining to the forms only. Whether this particular form would be covered or not, that would be clear from the list you people are going to upload.
Sure.
How appeal filed with the RD with respect to adjudication order issued by ROC in the form INC 20A can be withdrawn. Any e-form appeal filed through e-form ADJ, proof of withdrawal to be attached in empty form. Question number 17, if you could see.
Shankarji would respond, it being a policy matter. I request Shankarji.
Yeah, as far as see, it is very clear from the order of adjudication, appeal, and immunity. These are the 3 stages. Kindly note down. Filing of an adjudication form and order by the AO, that is adjudication authority, that is by ROC, and now I'll come to clearly six and Roman 6. It is clearly says in cases where the due no appeal has been preferred by the concerned company or it means where the last date of filing appeal against the order of the adjudicate authority under section 454 falls between 1st March 2020 and 31st May. Additional 120 days have been allowed with from the such last date to all companies and the officer filing appeal before the concerned regional directors. So the point is, if the ROC has adjudicated the matter and the appeal is yet to be filed and your 60 days is over, but it is not covered under this point, you cannot file appeal. So you can prefer appeal with the delay in such 120 days additional days before the regional director, and you can file the form before that. You can file the INC 20A. You can very well file so additional fees already waived off. You can file it, and before RD, you can please, as per the scheme, we have filed the INC 20A. Therefore, you please dispose of the matter by under the scheme 2020 CFSS 2020. So the appeal has to be filed. Otherwise, you will not get any immunity in this. Or to Maniji.
Right, sir. So another question is related to this particular immunity from RD only. Those companies which have not preferred any appeal to RD, question number 19. As due date for appeal is current date, say April 5th, which is yet to come. And what they have to do, file appeal and withdraw and apply for immunity, please clarify.
That is what he has not cited whether it is a particular form or it may be for violation of any section. For example, it's a violation of section 12 for shifting up some registration RO is related, registered office if it is related. Then there is no form is there. So you have to go for the appeal only. Then only if you do not file appeal and you cannot get any remedy. So you have to go for the appeal only. So if it is INC 20 form related issue, you can file the form. You can file the appeal before the RD. You can request the RD, sir, because of such and such scheme you have filed, you please take a lenient view and the appeal may be disposed of. So appeal, if it is disposed of, you can file INC 28 and you can refer the matter while filing a CFSS 2020. You can put the SR number of the INC 20A. Then you will get the immunity.
Great, sir. Yeah. So next question is that private limited companies are having various exemptions, already having various exemptions through various exemption notifications in the 2015-17. Now the present scheme conditions covered by clause 6 of the scheme, we request your good self to insert the MCA to clarify on the subject matter whether defaulting companies who file documents under 2020 scheme will be entitled to exemption of fresh, as word fresh used in the scheme respective circular 2000 stating the condition attached herewith for your ready reference. We are not having that conditions as of now. This might be certain exemption if there is a delay or non-filing. Certain exemptions.
I think I'll answer to this question. Probably this professional is asking for the exemption granted to the private limited companies. According to the notification issued by us. So one in 2015 followed by the 2 or 3 notification exemptions to private companies. So as far as the modification is concerned, once you file the belated documents without additional fee as per the scheme, and you will get the benefit exemptions from the prospective date, not in the retrospective date, you will not get any exemptions. So please be clear that once you file the belated documents, from the date when you file the belated documents, annual return or whatever the balance sheet, financial statement, and from the day only you will get all exemptions, not from the retrospective effect. Over to Manish ji.
Right, sir, right. Thanks for the clarification. Another question is very interesting. They are now looking for the CFSS benefit with respect to the incorporation of new companies. The question is like, for example, the name has been approved, but the due date of the incorporation of the company is during the lockdown period. Due to prevalent issues, the promoters are unable to file the documents for the incorporation. Whether any benefit would be available under this scheme for the incorporation of new companies?
The answer is twofold. First, CFSs do not cover name and incorporation. So answer is no. Second, insofar as the extension of name is concerned, because they could not go for incorporation due to a lockdown, they may request through a ticket for extension of the name, which based on case-to-case basis, MCA would consider.
The resubmission also, you can elaborate, Mr. Bhaskar ji, how the resubmission, how we are going to give the relaxation in case of resubmissions also.
Resubmission will also be on case-to-case basis, Shankarji, because we have more than 150, 200 questions on CFSS. Let us first finish off that. The resubmission, the ticketing ticket mode can be approached, and based on ticket, we would do the needful. Okay.
Sure.
Right, sir. So next question is with respect to the AOC 4 XBRL, wherein the consolidated financials were also applicable. CFS filing was also applicable, but due to inadvertent, they have not opted for the CFS. Now they could not able to upload the CFS filing. What they have done, they have already made a request to the concerned ROC. A particular request is still pending with ROC. Whether they can take the benefit of filing AOC 4 along with the CFS
No.
under this.
The answer is no. But if the previous filing, whatever has been inadvertently filed, because it being an STP form, if ROC filed
under CFS. MGT 14 crosses 300 days. So
no, I think
questions are.
We have
whether foreign companies are also covered under this.
Yes.
Liaison office, branch office.
Yes, they are covered. And insofar as the process is
Okay. Director disqualified in another company, but my client company is suffering due to again the same thing. Nothing can be done under this particular scheme. MGT 14 300 days.
Manish ji, I mean,
Sir.
if one signatory is added, there is a back office service which is facilitated to the ROC users. The particular company can approach the jurisdictional ROC with a request. If the ROC is convinced, he may use the back office service for adding a signatory from backend. Once an authorized signatory is added through that PO service, the company would be able to file the relevant forms.
Okay. Whether they so this is 27, 28, 29, more of a personal sort of questions where one professional is looking for initiation of certain issues against the directors who have not filed the returns of the company. So we are not required to deal with this particular questions. That a private limited company which was struck.
Manish, for the sake of clarity, we need to tell the professionals. See, we will upload the documents which can be filed with normal fee only. So that Bhaskar has, will come out with, Bhaskarji will come out with the chart also. So the document which are displayed, so you can file the forms without levying any additional fee. So please wait for the chart, and you can see the number of documents you can able to file without additional fee. So whether it is for MGT14, whether it is for AOG4, whether it is for DPT3, all will be covered except charge documents and SS7.
That is very much clear that only two forms are not covered under this scheme: SS7 and charge forms. Apart from all other forms are very much falling under this scheme, covered under the scheme, and one take benefit in this particular.
And that is what we have clearly mentioned. What are the things that will not apply to the scheme? It is elsewhere mentioned in the scheme. So I request the professor to go through the scheme, and it's a well drafted scheme. You will appreciate, and everything we can take off while drafting the scheme.
It is not two forms which are excluded. It is all charge related forms which are excluded, and SH7 which is excluded.
Two aspects we told, sir.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks for the clarification, sir. So next question is the scheme applicable to power due to non-filing? If it is applicable to the company, but then has been deactivated under this scheme.
Question number
31, sir. 31.
Okay.
This is a question with respect to the.
If the company is revived, form can be filed by a company which got revived.
No, maybe the particular question from the professional is if it is the revival is ordered beyond 39 to 20, that is the indirect question he has put in.
No. Nananji, he said that and got the revival order before 30th September 2020.
And there is no question if you file the revival order before that, you can the company status will be get changed. Provided you filed all the due TR, DR, KYC and active form, and you can proceed with all due documents, and your company will be in active status.
So next question is question number 33. They are looking for more clarification on point number 5 of the scheme. Which is with respect to section 455.
It is already there in the system. You have to file. The document status. It is very clear. People are filing MSC1 forms.
So next question is whether CFSs allow any defaulting inactive companies to apply simultaneously during the currency of the scheme for dormant status or strike off by filing relevant forms and paying applicable fees. For that form, inactive company shall mean the defined and for 455. My question is, even if 2 years of dormancy test is not just fulfilled, but have met only any one of these three conditions, a company is treated as inactive under section 455 and pursuant to CFSS 20. If such company is also a defaulting one and is filing some belated forms under CFSS, it is then eligible to file for strike off apart from the dormant status option.
Yes, it is there in the scheme. In 611, we have elaborated very clearly scheme for inactive companies. They can very well file the STQT form by paying a fee as prescribed in the rules. It's very clear. The second point, they can simultaneously either for successors or apply for striking of the name of the company by filing STK2 by paying the fee payable on STK2 form. It is very clear in the scheme that before para 7, the last sub para 11, it clearly says. Or to
Right, sir.
Manish.
That is there in the scheme itself.
Yeah.
So next question is
Which
and
question?
she is 35.
Forms can be filed during the moratorium period.
This moratorium
reiterate here the normal fee which is up only on the additional fee during this moratorium period, that is from 1st April 2020 to 30th September 2020 under CFSS.
Moratorium is on the charging of additional fee,
Yes.
not on anything else. Insofar as MCA is concerned, it works 24/7.
Yes.
Very right, sir. So next question is this is very interesting question. In case the restoration order, if suppose one company has filed for the revival of the company under 252, and the restoration order cannot be obtained by the last date of the scheme, that is 30th September, can this scheme be availed on receipt of the restoration order after the expiry of the scheme, after 30th of September, on certain declaration or affidavit?
The revival need to happen during the currency of the scheme. Then only the company can file the forms without additional fee. The currency of the scheme is from 1st April 2020 to 30th September 2020.
Right, sir. Coming to the second set of the questions, will this scheme be applicable for companies who have not yet filed annual return for the financial year 18-19? Very basic question.
Pardon me, can you read?
Question number 40, part 2.
Okay.
The very basic question, whether the scheme would be applicable for the financial year 18-19 as well.
For 18-19, they can, if all the documents 18-19 also it is waived, and you can file the balance sheet and all returns for the 18-19 without any additional fee.
Sir, 41, next question is for the academic interest as well. That the company has obtained extension of AGN in the last 2 financial years, 17-18 and 18-19 as well. And they have done the delayed filing with the additional fees. Now they are looking for a clarification whether the non-compliance of 96 with respect to non-holding of AGM within the due time, whether those defaults can also be compounded through this scheme.
Yeah, please go ahead, Mr. Bhaskar.
No. Insofar as the adjudication process is concerned, there is no change in the adjudication process. Only additional fee would be waived off during this period.
Very true. No other benefit can be extended through this scheme. Condonation, compounding would still be there, and one has to go through the same process. Only
Yes.
the additional fees on filing of forms can be
Yes.
waived off.
Yes.
See, I'll make it clear. See, please, if it is a document is to be filed, then only the scheme will be applied. If it is any violation related to the Companies Act, this section, this scheme will not apply.
Manish ji, the
Sir.
initial remarks itself, JSR very categorically enunciated the objectives of these 2 schemes, and I also said that the members need to be familiar with the 4 circulars. Let me reiterate: the LLP settlement scheme circular which got notified on 4th March, and general circular number 11, 12 and 13. I think they should get themselves familiarized with these 4 circulars. Okay.
Very true. Sir, question number 43. As per the notification of the scheme is not applicable on the company which are struck off or under the process striking off. And most of the companies are moved to the courts asking for relief or stay on such scheme. Don't you think such companies should also be allowed under this scheme,
If
which
they,
are under striking off or which are struck off by the ROC?
I think if they, no, it has already been answered multiple times. If the company gets revived during the moratorium period, then the scheme benefits can be availed.
Without the revival, without the having the active status, it would be very difficult to fall under this scheme. They need to have the active status.
Yes.
See, first of all, they have to understand why the company has been marked as under striking off, because the company has failed to file due documents for a longer period. So the government has taken initiative. Then you awake after some time only. So the thing is, the default on your company side, not from any other side.
Very true. So another question is again with respect to the company which is under the striking off process of striking off. However, the final notice under 248 is not yet served by the ROC to the company. Can these companies take advantage of the scheme? Question
No.
number 45.
No. The answer is no.
Okay. The director who is disqualified due to the non-filing of annual return of any of the companies, then whether the directors of the company will be allowed to take advantage of this. Already answered. So this is with respect to DPT3 and BEN2, whether these forms would be covered.
Yes.
All the forms except where elsewhere mentioned in the scheme, you can file the due documents without any additional fee. That is what the scheme is clearly says. Please go ahead. Next question.
Next question is relevant is
For the sake
51.
of clarity, DPT3 can be also filed, BEN2 can be also filed during the currency of crime. That will be without any additional fee. DPT3, people are confusing. DPT3 can be filed without additional fee or with additional fee. BEN2 also. Both the forms can be filed without any additional fee.
Very true. Question number 51. Why charge filing forms are kept outside the scheme? We observed that there are lots of the borrower could not be able to file with MCA, and now is
It has various implications on the law. First of all, see, if it is the company goes into IBC, it will get a change in the priority of the charge items. So it has got lot of ramifications. Here, the such and such period, 120 days, the maximum period they have to file it. So keeping in mind of the other laws. So we cannot take it as granted. So this has been this has not been included in the scheme.
Sir, question number 52 is with respect to the Nidhi companies, whether relaxation is also applicable on Nidhi companies.
Yes.
For filing of all forms, NDH1 was required to be filed up to certain
Answer
time.
is yes.
Okay.
The
is the scheme
must be active? The Nidhi company must be in active status. Then only they can avail the scheme. So if it is Nidhi is somewhere in struck off, they cannot able to. Nidhi status of the Nidhi company must be an active. Then they can able to file do documents without additional fees as per the scheme.
MSME forms which are pending for 31st October or 31st March last year can also be filed under this scheme.
Members should be aware that there is no fee for MSME. So there is no question of any additional fee when there is no fee as such. Okay.
And there, but they must be looking for the immunity in that particular case. whether the immunity certificate would be granted for the non-fee form as well.
Shankarji, to answer that, MSME, I don't know
This is the tricky one.
whether it got covered
Sir?
under the Companies Act.
Which question we are in?
So 53.
MSC forms pending for the period ended 31st October 2020.
So 2019, it has to be 2019 because 2020 is
2019,
too far.
2020 may not be
Yeah.
for the period ending 31st October. It's still long way to go. We cannot foresee the entire whole financial year. So that is why the cutoff period is taken as from 1/4/2020 to 39. So we expect that within a short span, everything will be set all right. So we cannot visualize the whole year.
Shankarji, there is a different connotation to the question. Assuming that the financial year, whatever has been quoted, instead of 2020, assuming that it ends on 31st October 2019, though there is no fee for MSME, anyway, additional fee would not get charged during this
They can
monetary
able to
period
file.
because there is no fee applicable. But they are asking if there is any scheme benefit which arises out of this EFSS would also be applicable to this particular scenario where MSME has been from filing, the company has defaulted. So whether the Companies Act 2013 extends to the ME form default, that is the question. It is
So
a different.
let me reframe it. Let me reframe it. Whether the benefit of the scheme with respect to the immunity certificate would be given after the expiry of the scheme would also be applicable for MSME form or any other form which has no fees.
No,
because there is no additional
there
fees.
won't be any immunity if the scheme, the documents are not filed outside the scheme. The documents should have been filed within the currency of the scheme.
Bhaskarji, I would request you to kindly cover this particular thing in your FAQs because many of the members would be looking for this particular clarification, whether this immunity would be granted to the zero filing fee forms.
Yeah. Manishji, let me reiterate here what we are going to upload on the portal, the list of 76 forms which have been covered under the scheme, whether it is under LLP or under the Companies Act 56 or 2013. Those lists would be posted on the portal tonight. And insofar as the other FAQs are concerned, we will definitely come out with the answers, and after they have been reviewed by MCA with the approval of MCA, we would share it with ICSI. Okay.
Great, sir, great. If any help is required from ICSI, we are there to help you out in framing the FAQ, sir.
Sure,
on the basis of this webinar.
Sure, sure.
In case of the companies who have not filed INC 21A active form, INC 22A is there for the active form.
Yeah.
From last year and want to go for the striking off, can they do this by directly filing STK2? Need to file for active form first?
No, actually, they can.
This is not related to this scheme, but still.
No. Actually, ideally they should have filed. They can file INC 22A because no fee is applicable now during this 6 months, and then they can go for STK2 because they will be going with clean hands. That is my take.
Okay. So next question is question number 57. The LLP is defaulter since incorporation, and LLP incorporated in 2015, and since then totally non-compliant. Even the agreement of partners though executed, but not filed with MCA. There are 2 designated partners and 2 individuals in LLP. Total 4 partners are there. One of the designated partners expired in 2018. Now my query is how to file their financial form 8 and 11. Is it possible to appoint one of the individual partner as DP in the year 2018, and could he can approve the form 8 and form 11 for 2015 to 18? Question number 57, sir.
They can file all the relevant forms, right?
Right, they can file, but one of the directors has expired in the year 2018, and the form 8 and 11 require 2 signatures of the designated partners.
The law, the implications of the law cannot be relaxed now.
Exactly.
Only the filing with regard to additional fee is being relaxed in the scheme. As far as as far as the implication, the compliance is concerned, you have to go through the LLP Act and you have to appoint a designated partner only. Then you can file the form without any additional fee.
Yes.
True. So next question is with respect to the e-verification of forms of IEPF authority through MCA portal. While checking the fees, the fee of form MCA, it appears 1850 for the first form and 1500 for the second form. Whether the related forms can
Not to 31st, they 20. So if they file today or after any additional fee.
initiated the avail the immunity under the
So it is
he has filed the prosecution for non-filing.
prosecution before the get any benefit out of it. So please be clear that whatever the prosecution for non-filing other violations concerned, if it is filed and pending the court for pending with the court, the court will decide.
Very true. It has not
Yeah, it is
formed
20A. Go for the adjudication of penalty.
right. See web can
Minute on
yeah.
DAR3 if it has and suitable notice is fee getting waived off during the so these fee
Is
scheme is for and reduce Okay. Backend appointment it could be disqualification, it could if there is no signatory, ROC can be requested to add signatory, and based on whatever evidence that is produced by the company, ROC may add one signatory using the BO service from backend.
Right. Sir, we are done with the questions which were received through email. Now the chat box is also having certain questions. I'm going to one of the question which says, if the company has not filed any of the forms as per Companies Act 1956 or 2013, whether it is required to file forms. If the current company secretary is unable to file any of the pending forms, then MCA will take any action against that company secretary. I think that company secretary is very much concerned about the pending forms, maybe prior to his tenure.
Okay, can we Maniji display the question so that we can able to answer?
Sir, this question is being raised by Anil Padhiali. You must be viewing it. There is a chat box below your screen.
Yeah.
You can open the chat box and there is a question from Anil Padhiali.
Manishji, you need to tell the time so that to identify the.
It's around 4:12.
Insofar as the filing of forms are concerned, 1956, 2013 LLP, I said that totally 76 forms would be exempt from payment of additional fee. Okay, 1956 as well as 2013 forms. Apart from these two, LLP forms also would be exempted. The list would be hosted on the portal. They can file those forms. And insofar as taking action against the company secretary for non-filing, I think I request Shankarji to respond on that.
What is the exact question, Bhaskarji?
No, the member that he could not file 1956 forms.
No.
I said the forms can be filed without additional fee. Okay. Normal fee will get charged, but taking action against the particular company secretary for non-filing of the forms under 1956, whether any action would be taken, that is his question.
Against the company secretary only for non-filing of the past any forms prior to his appointment.
I don't know what is the any internal dispute between the company and the company secretary is not mentioned in that. I presume that there is no dispute between the management and the company secretary as concerned. Only aspect is with regard to the due filing, they cannot able to file, and during the currency of the scheme, they can able to file the pending documents without additional fee. Then they'll get immunity. Provided as per the scheme, there should not be any management dispute is pending. Then there won't be any immunity will get for filing such belated documents.
Right. Sir, another question is whether this scheme will be applicable to event-based non-compliances also.
What are the event-based? It's not clear, but
event-based are like appointment of directors that are the event or the allotment of shares.
That is what Bhaskarji has already cleared. We will display the chart. One can see the chart, you can file it. And the scheme covers entire documents except as mentioned in the scheme, that charge related forms and assets.
Shankarji, actually the question can be interpreted in a different way. He is not asking for the additional fee waiver. He is asking whether event-based non-compliance, let us say annual general meeting has not been held. Okay. So the minimum number of directors has not been appointed. Okay. So these, whether it is event-based, non-compliance, nothing to do with non-filing.
I got your point. Thanks, Bhaskarji. That we made it very clear in the during the half an hour before also. if it is compliance related, the scheme does not contemplate the violation or anything. It is talking about the filing of documents without charging additional fee. As far as any violations is concerned, it's a different connotation, and it's nothing to do with the scheme. So non-compliance, it will be viewed seriously, and the ROC can issue show cause notice, and ROC can file prosecution, and nothing prevent in the scheme.
Yeah.
Right, sir.
Manishji, with your permission, I would like to ask one question to Shankarji. It's a very good
Yeah,
question.
please, sir.
Nobody else had answered. Asked this question. Shankarji, is there any charges for filing the immunity form? That is what the question is.
So it's very clear. We have made it in the form also that there is no fees required for filing a CFSS form 2020. It is mentioned in the scheme also. You need not pay any fee.
Yes, yes.
Otherwise, there would be a delayed filing for immunity form as well, and additional fees are required to be paid.
Senior has allowed. So after the closure of the scheme only, you can able to file the form. Please
Right.
make a note of it. During the currency of the scheme, you cannot file the CFSS 2020. After the closure of the scheme only, you can able to file CFS 2020.
No,
So before,
Even if you have completed all your
immunity also.
no, good.
even if you have completed all your filings within next 5-7 days,
No, good
you have to
that
wait for
member is-
next 6 months.
Good that member is visualizing 6 months hence. So we need to appreciate this question.
Right, right.
That is what we have given 6 months time after the closure of the scheme also.
Yes.
Sir, another member is looking for the immunity from stock exchange compliances also.
So
Talking about the compliances related to
nothing to do with the scheme. Please do not ask questions out of the syllabus, please.
out of the syllabus. Very good, sir. LLP was incorporated on December 2016, but could not able to file Form 8 and 11 in 2007. Whether LLP required to file both the forms for the year 17. Sir, his question is LLP was incorporated on December 2016, but could not able to file 8 and 11 for the year 17. Whether both of these forms are required to be filed,
Yes.
or they
Of
can
course.
file any of these forms.
No, yeah, there is no exemption from filing the forms. They have to file both statement of account and solvency and annual return as well. Form 8 and Form 11 as well.
Another question is MSME, BAN 2, DPT3 are all covered under this scheme. Can INC 28 be filed after 30 days or whatsoever period is prescribed under the order given by the NCLT or RD or any other adjudicating authority without any additional fees and without following any other law process for the order issued by RD for shifting a registered office?
No, the question itself, they have the answer. The professional must have filed such delayed cases in central government also, and they have got the delay condoned, and they might have filed another INC 20 also. So please clear whenever the order is passed and if it is not filed, it's nothing to do with the first occasion. It is the second occasion. So you have to follow the due process law. You have to get the delay condoned, and you have to file INC 28. Then only your case can be processed further.
Right. For the benefit of all the members, if they are viewing us, would request them to kindly forward their queries in the chat box. We are taking the queries through the chat box only. Whatever queries they are having, they can write it down to us. Next is foreign companies we have already answered. Is the company receive order before September 2020 for revival? The company avail the CFS scheme means additional fees not applicable after company status is effective. Order means revival order.
Yes, yes. If they file before 30th September 2020, they need not file additional fee. That has already been clarified amply.
So next question is very interesting. This scheme is whether this scheme is also applicable on independent directors data bank, as its last date was is going to be 30th of April.
Independent director data bank has got nothing to do with MCA. It is
and filing of forms for the companies.
yes.
Can a government nominee attend a meeting or director without having DIN, as nominees generally do not have DIN? This has nothing to do with this scheme. Now, the companies which were incorporated under Companies Act 1956, incorporated under the Act 27, which had not applied for Nidhi status, could not file the form NDH4 for declaring their status of Nidhi company. Whether those companies can still file form NDH4 for the Nidhi status. NDH4 for the Nidhi status. Those companies which have not filed their NDH4 up to this time, they can also avail the benefit of the scheme.
Yes, that is what I said. The Nidhi forms also can be filed during this period. That is what has already been told.
Wherever the additional fee is there and it is being relaxed now, so they can file it. NDH4, is there is any anything is there? The order of the regional directors is required in this NDH4, Bhaskarji? Nidhi rules.
The question is whether Nidhi NDH4 can be filed during this period. The answer is yes. All NDH forms 1, 2, 3, 4. They attract additional fee. Additional fee waiver is allowed for all the 4 forms of Nidhi. They can file the Nidhi forms.
As far as the Nidhi status is nothing to do with the scheme.
Yes.
Right. MCA portal is still showing the additional fees while inquiring the fees. If the scheme is applicable from today, then why the additional fee is still showing on MCA portal?
Let me clarify. The FO calculate fee. Please do not get carried away
Confused.
by the calculate fee. This scheme is temporary. It is applicable only for a period of 180 days. Okay. The forms which have been attracted to the additional fee waiver under the CFSS scheme, they would be posted on the portal. Look into the form number and the nomenclature of the form and go and file the form. It will not get any additional fee. Okay, and this FO calculate fee is permanent. Okay.
Right, sir. Another question is what are the reasons for excluding SH7 from the scheme? Because the additional whatsoever would be the fees and the stamp duty, the stakeholders are ready to pay. Then why these SH7 is being excluded?
Shankarji, would you like to take that question? Why SH7 has been excluded? That is the question from a member.
See, SH7 is being filed by the company which are growing. Only when you are growing, only you will increase the authorized capital. You are not suffering. Your business is going on and it's a growing concern. And it is expected that when you are going concern, it is expected that you do the due compliances. So that is why it is being not been included in the scheme.
Okay. Because the company is having the
companies are the persons who are not doing any business, they will not increase their authorized capital. Only the growing business and if you want to increase authorized capital for expanding your business, only you will file the SH7. And if you are not filing SH7, then you are not complying with the Companies Act and the provisions of the rules.
Very true. If any company has got the revival order under 252 from NCLT and presently not having the active status, but in the days to come it would be activated, then the scheme would be available for them. Is it, sir?
Yes.
The question time also you can.
Sir, Vikas Kumar, 5:27 p.m.
The answer is yes. If the company gets revived during the currency of the period, he can file the form without additional fee.
So next question is at 5:30. Whether separate board resolution is required for filing CSFF form in verification, or any of the previously passed resolution would do.
How the board resolution will be passed prior to the commencing of the scheme? It is a ridiculous question. The board will pass after the scheme is commenced only. It is not expected the board will pass in the past date prior to the commencing of the scheme.
So going by your words, we need to have a separate resolution on or after the initiation of the scheme, maybe on 30th of September, anytime they can have the separate board resolution for this particular filing of form.
Then the gentleman used the CSSFF form. It is not the it is wrongly used. The CFSS form. It is.
Yes, CSFF. Any charges for immunity form? We have already done with this. So let us take a few questions because another question is with respect to the name approval, whether any extension for 20 days. Would you like to deal with this, sir?
Name extension based on ticket from case to case basis, it would be considered for extension.
Okay. Then most of the questions are similar.
So the question is asked by Mr. Santosh Patel, 5:31 p.m. If the company has delayed in convening the AGM for the year 2018 and accordingly no annual returns were filed. Now, if the AGM is convened during the period April to September 2020 and if the company files long pending annual returns now during the period April to September 2020, then will the company be liable to file compounding application before NCLT for delay in AGM, along with additional fee for filing annual returns, whether the penalty for delay in the holding is AGM is relaxed by the ministry. See, the holding of the AGM is different from the filing of documents. Whatever the violations other than the delayed filing will prevail. So if there is any violations in the AGM, that has not been clearly mentioned what is the violations in the AGM. So if it is filed, the document is filed with without additional fee, it's an immunity. So if there is any violation as per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013, it is a separate connotation, nothing to do with the scheme.
Very true.
Manishji, there is one question. Okay, on this question, I will not name the participant who had posed this question, but this question, let me elaborate. One of my client LLP registered with UPROC, the two designated partners already seized before and already filed LLP 3 and 4 form against shown on MCA portal, and presently they are also shown on MCA portal. I have pursued several times to the ROC Kanpur, but still no relief has been provided due to such a technical error. Our client is unable to file LLP 8 since 2015. I request the member to share the ticket numbers and other details with ICSI, whether any of the members, they can touch base with ICSI and share the ticket numbers. We would definitely examine this case and we would respond to the member. Okay, Manishji, it is at 5:31.
Right, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
I got it, sir. No issues.
Yeah.
I know him personally. We'll take care.
Yes, yes.
The board meeting was held in January, but due to some problem, the MGT 14 could not be filed for. So this form will be exempted under this scheme, MGT 14 particularly.
Which question, sir, it is?
Sir, 5:31, Arun Kumar Sharma.
No, if MGT 14 could not be filed, now the MGT 14 can be filed now.
Additional fees, it can be filed up to 300 days.
Yes, yes.
ROC imposed penalty amounting to rupees 97,000 due to non-filing of INC 20 on January 2020. I have appealed with RD. We have already dealt with this question.
Yeah.
I think Shankar,
for the sake of
if you would like to.
I don't know. When January 2020 on filing whether the appeal is must be within the 60 days. If the 60 days expired between if it is expired before 1st March, and the additional 120 days we are giving additional time you are giving as per the scheme. You can appeal before the RD. At the same time, you can file the IMC 20 without additional fee, and you can appraise the regional director concerned that we have filed during the currency of the scheme. Sir, my appeal may be disposed of, so that they can avail the scheme also, as well as that they can get the immunity.
Maniji, this question I would like to answer. I request you, please let us know is the scheme is helpful or applicable for active non-compliant company in which all directors are resigned, filed DR11 on their behalf. I think it was repeatedly said that please, in case your company has no directors whose DIN is in active status, approved status, please get that activated first. And if you have no qualified directors, okay, and there are no authorized signatories, please get at least one authorized signatory added from backend BO service. Request the ROC based on the evidence. ROC may add one signatory through the BO service, and then you can file the form, and you can file active form also. Okay, and then you can file all other forms, MGT7, AOC4, whatever forms which you have defaulted on, you can file that during the period of 1st April to 30th September without any additional fee. Yeah.
Right, sir. Sir, थोड़ा मैं नीचे आ गया. Sir, many DSCs has been kept at the offices during the lockdown, and we can not access to it. The period of lockdown may go beyond the stipulated time as of now.
Yeah.
Can the filing of forms be allowed without DSC?
That is emphatic no. Okay. The PDF e-forms require to be digitally signed because they are admissible in a court of law as evidence. Digital signature certificates cannot be dispensed with. And hopefully, God willing, we hope that by 14th April, the lockdown would come to an end, and all normal activity would get restored. We pray to God. Okay, so the DSC is a requirement. It cannot be dispensed with.
Right. Sir, another question related to that only. Why this scheme came during lockdown, where every company are locked down and not able to process the forms?
I think Shankarji, better you please give the background.
Why we have initiated this scheme during the lockdown period?
See, in order to facilitate, once the lockdown is over, you can able to file the due documents without any additional fee. The scheme is formulated to facilitate you. So it is an advantage to you during the lockdown.
Right.
After once the lockdown, you will not sit down in the home. You will work. So it is expected that after lockdown you will work. So it is the scheme for the not for the 1 week or 15 days. It's for the 6 months. We have given the currency of the scheme from 1/4/2020 to 30th September.
Right. Lockdown is temporary for just 13-14 days, but the scheme is having a long-lasting impact, and
That
it
is
will
why
be valid for 6
it is
months.
a very golden opportunity. Having served 30 years in the same ministry, I'll tell you, first scheme as far as the Companies Act 2001 and 2011-12 and 2014. After that, condonation of delay, and this is the one of the best scheme that the government has come out to the agreed companies.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Very true. I can witness this, sir. Is this scheme is applicable on annual filings of project office, license office,
Yes.
or
Yes.
foreign branch offices?
Yes, yes.
All benefits would be available to the filing
Wherever
of
even
form.
FC1, FC2, wherever the additional fees is levied, it will not levied during the currency of the scheme.
Yes.
So
Right.
FC forms also get covered in the scheme.
Yes.
What are the attachments to be filed with Form CFSS 2020? Is there any application or affidavit to be attached with the form?
It is all very clearly stated in the declaration form. So you have to go through the CFSS 2020 attached with the scheme. So you please go through the form. It is elaborated what are the documents required to be attached for availing the immunity, for getting the immunity from the registrar. Once the scheme is over, only you can able to file this form, not during the currency of the scheme.
Manishji, next question I would like to answer because I think this
Sir.
question is getting repeated. Hello, sir. In inquired fee tab, additional fee are still reflecting for backdate filing. Let me tell you, the FO, whatever is showing as additional fee, the FO service is a permanent service. This scheme, whereas the scheme, CFSS scheme is a temporary scheme for 180 days period. Please do not get confused over FO service. Please check the list of forms on which additional fee waiver has been given. The list of forms would be posted on the portal tonight. Please check whether a particular form for which you are getting additional fee is included in that list of form. Then file it, generate the challan. Challan will show the amount as discounted amount, and only the normal fee would get charged. Let me repeat, only the normal fee would get charged if your form which you are trying to file is within the list of 76 forms covered in respect of LLP, Companies Act 56 and Companies Act 2013. Thank you.
Right, sir. Another question is interesting with respect to they are looking for immunity from composition of the CSR committee. This is at 531. Whether the scheme is applicable for private company which has failed to form CSR committee and disclosed through AOC 4.
Shankarji need to answer that.
Yeah, it is a purely it is violation for disclosure of CSR committees. So it's nothing to do with the scheme. You committed a violence, and for that you will see that the violation will also cover under the scheme, which it is beyond the expectation of the concerned professional. So whatever you have committed the violation as per the disclosure of CSC committee, it is either it is commendable or you have to go for the adjudication of penalty.
Right, sir. Sir, another question is whether the company which is an IBC process can avail the benefit of this scheme. This is at 5:32 p.m. Whether the company which is an IBC, corporate insolvency resolution process, can avail the benefit of this scheme.
No, as long as the company is status is active, it is not struck off or it is not defunct or it is not amalgamated. So they can file the forms, the list of forms with additional fee waiver using the CFSS benefit.
So the indirect question is whether the insolvency professional can file the documents if it is the companies under CRPC under the insolvency professional. So they can able to file the such due documents without levying additional fee. So they can able to file with the normal fee only.
True. So the very next question is, backend process take 5 to 6 months time at ROC for appointment of new directors or adding new directors if the directors are disqualified. By that time, we will get one director on the board, the scheme may lapse. Can ROC be directed to take these applications on urgent basis and give them some deadline to approve the same?
Yeah, this has been noted, and definitely we will issue instructions also, and I will discuss with my superiors and I'll come out with certain solutions.
Great, sir. That would be highly appreciated because if the delays are there at the ROC end, it would be very difficult to get the benefit of this scheme.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
I'm skipping few of the repetitive questions. Most of the things we have already covered.
As far as before coming to anything, and I'll make it clear, whatever the documents filed prior to the scheme, filed with additional fee will not get covered under the scheme, and they will not get any immunity under the scheme. So those who have filed the document during the currency of the scheme only, they will get immunity, provided unless otherwise management dispute is not there, provided other violations is not there. That is what they will make a declaration in that while furnishing CFSS 2020 form.
Shankarji, this question I would like you to respond. It seems very genuine question from one of the members. Our company in process of shifting registered office from one state to another. However, due to lockdown, company is unable to dispatch notice to Chief Secretary and Registrar of Companies, and also INC 23 cannot be filed within 30 days from the cutoff date. Whether company can still file INC 23 after 30 days? That is the question.
INC 23 can be filed after 30 days without additional fee. This will be examined separately because it is the shifting of ROC is there. During the lockdown period, they cannot able to send dispassionate. We will examine, we will come out with a solution for this.
Yeah.
The filing of INC 23 after 30 days, the system will accept. Whether system allows after filing 30 days or the system restricts the 30 days, Bhaskarji?
No, it is not covered, INC 23.
So we will examine differently, and we can able to sort out the issues, Bhaskarji.
Yes.
So next question. NCLT or CG was also put in this. The above penalties under 403 of the Companies Act, whether any immunity from penalties under 403 of the Companies Act.
Which one it is, sir?
Sir, it is 533.
Timing is also not coming.
No issue, sir. You can
So what is
answer
the
it
question?
directly.
What is the question?
Whether any immunity from 403 proceedings would also be available.
What set of document it is?
It could be any form falling under 403.
See, immunities, it is from the violation committed under the Companies Act. It is only related to belated filing. That is not clear in this question.
Right.
If it is a violation committed other than the belated filing, and naturally you have to go for compounding application, or if it is ROC issue notice or Isomoto, you can go for compounding application also. For belated documents, and the ROC will not file prosecution during the currency of the scheme.
Very true. I think, sir, we have taken almost every sort of question, and in any case, we will be coming out with FAQs in the days to come. Most of the question can be answered there. If you could see any of the questions which can be answered, because I can see many of them are repetitive.
The one of the professional asked whether the benefit under the scheme can be availed in respect of ADT1 filed late in February 2020 for requesting immunity. So the immunity will not available if the document is filed prior to the scheme. The immunity will get for the belated filing only during the currency of the scheme.
Very true.
Maniji, is it possible for these chat questions whether they can be converted into
Yes,
Word?
sir. I have taken a copy of it.
Okay, okay,
Just taken the copy of each and every question.
okay.
And one professional has also asked if ROC has issued, because adjudication is very important now. If the ROC has issued adjudication order for not filing INC 22A, can such companies file INC 20A without filing an appeal to RD? The answer is they can able to file INC 20A without any additional fee. But at the same time, they should prefer an appeal to RD by citing the by citing the scheme that we have filed under the scheme. So we can be given relaxation on this. Then you can appeal order. You can file able to file in INC 28. Thereafter, you can go for the immunity.
Right, sir. Sir, I think we have taken almost all types of questions, and we can conclude here. Any concluding remarks from your side, Bhaskar ji? Then we'll move to Narayan sir.
Thank you very much, ICSI, and thanks members and professionals who have joined this webinar despite lockdown. You please write to ICSI if you still have any more queries. I thank profusely ICSI and the president and Manish ji specifically for being present on this webinar and facilitating us in such a beautiful manner, which is visible very clearly to everyone. Hope everyone is benefited by this webinar. Thank you very much, all the members. Thanks, ICSI. Thank you, Shankarji.
Yeah, thank you.
Shankar ji, over to you.
Definitely, this webinar would have been very useful to all the members who present in the webinar. Those who are not present also then can able to hear through the website once it is hosted through ICSA website also. So as far as the query is concerned, if you cannot able to questions right now, if the question is not heard right now, and we can able to study, and the ICSA will circulate all the questions that were put to us, and even if it is not readable, we read now, and we can able to study after some time also. We'll come up with the solutions, and regularly we are studying also whatever the area which have been not been unresolved. So definitely we'll come with the solution, and we from the MCA side. We are really thankful to the ICSA and President and Manish Gupta and other friends for arranging this webinar in a great manner, and hope that we'll continue to have such discussion through webinar also, even such a lockdown period also, so that so that the work is not hampered. We can able to resolve through electronic media also. So thank you once again to Bhaskar ji for answering the unresolved things, answering the questions raised by the professionals. And thanks Manish ji and other friends from ICSA for arranging this webinar. And very great evening and happy and also happy evening and also.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Bhaskar ji. Thank you, Narayan ji, for live interaction with our members. It was really a great session with both of you. And we have taken up so many questions which were raised by the members. And members, I can assure on the institute side, whatsoever question you people have raised, we have captured all those questions, and we'll be forwarding it to the MCA with our probable answers, whatsoever we have discussed during this webinar. We will try to capture the answers as well. And after the due verification and vetting by the MCA team, we will be hosting it on the website of MCA as well as on the ICSI. My apologies to the members who could not able to attend this webinar because of the restriction of participants. The limit was 3,000 only. We have a facility of recording this webinar, and we have recorded it, and we'll be sharing the link of YouTube hosting in due course, and all would be benefited out of the discussion we had in this particular webinar. Friends, this is a golden opportunity to file all pending returns, annual statements, pending documents with the ROCs. It's a new beginning of the new financial year. and the best gift one can ever have from MCA to start a new year. These schemes, apart from giving longer timelines for corporates to comply with various filing requirements under the Companies Act 2013 as well as the LLP Act 2008, significantly also reduce the related filing burden on the corporates, especially for those with the long-standing defaults, thereby giving them an opportunity to be a compliant company, and they can always make a fresh start. Friends, this lockdown would continue for another 13-14 days as of now. Would request you all to remain safe, stay at home, take care of your family and loved ones, and keep on enhancing your knowledge during this lockdown period. And don't move out of your home unless until that is at most required or necessary. Let us give our commitment to our Prime Minister that we'll be following the instructions given by the government and will obey all those instructions in our own interest. Thank you very much for viewing this webinar. We have decided to come out with these webinars on very frequent basis. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have decided to have the webinars for the members. Next webinar is scheduled for Friday, and we are trying and exploring the possibility of adding more and more members. This webinar is restricted up to 3,000. Maybe the next webinar would be having more participants. Thank you very much. Once again, the MCA team, Narayanan sir, Murthy sir, and Bhaskar sir, for joining in and allowing us to be a part of MCA and for this interactive webinar. Thank you all the viewers. Do send us your feedback and the interest areas or any topic on which you require the webinar in the days to come. We'll surely arrange it for you. Thank you. Good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. You may disconnect, sir.